Welcome to Building the Business Behind Open Source AI. Our next speaker is Joe McCunney, CEO of Scalar Labs. Joe is a veteran of Oracle and PeopleSoft who has spent his career solving the world's most complex data challenges. He's here to discuss how removing data consistency bottlenecks is the hidden key to building high margin, scalable AI business on the cloud.
Hi, guys. Thanks for inviting me over. I'm excited to talk about this because one thing OmniStraight helped us out with is, as you know, if you want to go to hyperscalers, you need to spend a lot of development time, a lot of development resources to get on, to maintain, and that takes away from core innovation and core development. And that's one area that is extremely helpful, especially nowadays, if you want to get the business going, to work with partners that enable that extremely quickly. And just a quick story. So when we first started, and this is a personal thing, I'm running the US operations for this company, and we have limited resources, as startups go. I come from large organizations. I was an exec at Oracle, exec at Viva, Workday, etc. And they have large teams. They have design teams that make icons, right? They have design teams that work specifically on certain things. But as a individual trying to manage and just shuffle things around, it's difficult to try to go online and try to get business running. So OmniStraight really helped us there. And not only that, they actually handheld us, despite I called multiple vendors, and OmniStraight was the one that said, hey, we could do it. We could do it now. Got on a call within the week. Within 2 weeks, we closed, and we're online now. So that was very helpful. So thank you. Come on. So today, thanks to that, I get to talk about our core business value, which is we bring your data now everywhere. And so what does this have to do with AI? Well, one thing we realized is, despite how quickly we do AI development, despite how fast that's moving, and it's moving at lightning speed, we're seeing that there's still a data bottleneck. And the data bottleneck is that you can do all the AI development you want, which is great, it's helpful. However, there's still manual areas in terms of, especially enterprise organizations. There's over 300 different types of databases out there. You can't tell a development team that is stuck on a database, on Postgres, to say, get off of Postgres, we're going to go on another database. And then another development team on the same organization, sales, for example, using Salesforce, saying, hey, we're on that, get off of Salesforce. It's not going to happen. Right? They need to stay on their individual databases. That's why multiple databases exist. So how do you manage this disparate environment of multiple databases? So the idea of Scalar was born from that. Basically, our CEO, we're a Japanese company from Tokyo, so very process-oriented and really great with processes. So we're really great at managing data. The core concept is we live in a data-centric world. Everything is connected. How do you connect multiple data sources so it makes sense? So that's where ScalarDB was born, and I'll talk more about that. But basically, our concept is we want to future-proof your business. We want to bring data reliability, your data everywhere, and application stability. That's very difficult to do, even in an AI environment. We have multiple customers out there, MSAD, these are all Japanese names, Toyota, J-Power, Zenrin. Zenrin's basically the Google Maps of Japan. We're on all three platforms, and today I'm going to focus on a product of ours called ScalarDB. Sounds like it's a database. It is not. It is a data binder. First comment is it's not a database. We're database agnostic, connects to multiple data sources. We're cloud agnostic, runs everywhere, and even on-premise. Or combo. We have customers running it on GCP, AWS, and on-premise on 3 separate databases or 3 separate data sources. And we guarantee data consistency, so strong data consistency, which is important. I've had this experience where I go on to a retail site, I order something. Next day I get an email saying that product wasn't there. Well, it was there when I bought it, but there was some discrepancy within the multiple databases managing that. Or, from your perspective, if you run a financial services institution or if you're on your bank app, will you accept data inconsistency? You won't, right? We take data for granted. We take data for granted to the point where we don't expect mistakes. And if there is a mistake, then there's something absolutely wrong with the system. please fix it, right? Especially in the banking app. We don't persist any data. We run on middleware, and we reduce app code footprint. So how do we do this? This is a very simplified explanation, but whatever application you're running, the underlying data sources need to connect to all the applications. We connect all the databases underneath ScalarDB and treat everything like a single database. So when you're speaking to the databases themselves, you're speaking through ScalarDB, and ScalarDB controls the communication with the databases. Let's say your contract runs out. I'm not going to name any names, but there's a popular database that a lot of people are trying to get off of, and they want to get on a new database. All we need to do is replace that database, put it under ScalarDB, and there's no app code change needed, which is huge. So what does this have to do with AI-driven development? Well, it's huge. If you look at the breakdown of AI application development, you're looking at all different systems being managed by AI or AI-led or human-led. And one of the biggest pieces, and this is where we're talking, what I'm discussing today, which is the design of the software refactoring. There's a lot of customers, enterprise customers, that want to get off an old system, want to get on a new system, or want to move from one cloud to another cloud. Or what we're seeing now is customers moving from cloud back to on-premise or on-premise onto cloud, depending on what industry you're in. The issues there, and it's going to be a continuous challenge, is the data management challenge is you're going to have siloed data, right? Obviously, multiple data sources. So how do you keep this into a consistent environment? It's difficult. So then there's this monolithic approach where everybody at one point said, okay, let's put everything in this monolithic database. Then that stymies innovation and future projects because, okay, that problem's solved, but guess what? Now you're using Databricks or Snowflake, or you're bringing in new AI data. Or how are you going to build that into the monolith? So there's no future proofing there. And so then you're going to have lost transactions, or you're going to have two different sales teams with two different amounts that don't make sense because their data's on two different sides. The future proofing issue is that you really have, right here it says brittle plumbing. Basically, your entire architecture is brittle because it's dependent on the architecture that you built 2 years ago, right? Or the one that you're building now is not going to be compatible with the one that you need 2 years from now. So how do you prevent that? And this is where the design bottleneck happens. What we ended up doing, and I'll share the GitHub with you, is we have a open source project, and also ScalarDB and ScalarDL, both our projects are also open source, where we're now figuring out, well, the biggest bottleneck's the design process. Because once you design something, that's supposed to last for 10 years, 20 years, hopefully, but it doesn't. So how do you create a process that eliminates the time to analyze that design process, which in an enterprise system, a design process can take anywhere from 3 months to 6 months to 12 months, depending on who you're dealing with. The cost can be anything from hundreds of thousands to million plus in terms of a software design process, depending on the time it takes. What we created was a refactoring agent that eliminates all of that and does it in 2 hours, 3 hours. So all you do is point it to the code, run it, and it runs not only the design process, but gives you a very extensive, like 60, 80 page document that basically goes over absolutely every single piece of the code that you need, understands the data layer, creates the entire architecture, basically gives you, spoon feeds you the entire design that you need to work on in order to not only have the future design of your migration, but a consistent data flow using ScalarDB. It even gives you the MMI evaluation. If I had more time, I'd show you this, but basically we've had several customers that on average now it's cutting their design process and future innovation times by 85%. So we went from designing an entire enterprise migration that would have cost that company about $1.2 million to $200 using Claude, right? And so the demo app basically, we have over 20,000 sessions run so far on this. Here's some of the information for you guys, and that's it. So please, if you have any questions, let me know. Would love to run you guys through some of the demo. I'd love to show you the URL, but then since this is live, my URL is going to be up there with my machine name, so I'm not going to do that.
Thank you, Joe.
Great, thank you.